My first professional gig was actually with my dad's band. I was 10 years old when I joined the band. And, my dad was an interesting character. His name was Hassan. He was a trombonist, and he came from like the big band jazz era. So, when I first started playing, the music that I heard growing up in the house was primarily jazz. And at the same time, I was hanging out with my friends and the kids my age, and we were listening to rock and funk, Motown, Beatles, Sly and the Family Stone, that sort of thing. So it was an interesting musical diet in that I was dealing with the jazz stuff over here on one hand, and then the pop and funk and R&B music over here of the day on the other hand. And I would say that as a result, I have the references and the tools to kind of go anywhere and be comfortable musically. And so I kind of built my career on this philosophy of not really being a specialist drummer that plays, oh, he's a jazz drummer, he's a rock drummer. I wanted people to think of me as a all-around musician that they wanted to make music with. And that was my philosophy. But 10 years old, first gig with my dad's band. The band was called the Nomads. And it was primarily a family band. My cousin played flute and saxophone. Godbrother was a percussionist. Very dear family friend played organ. And then there were a lot of friends in the neighborhood that would join us for gigs in the tri-state New York area. Pretty cool. I remember playing at a block party, just like a jam. I was around 11 or 12 years old. And some guys that were in like one of the more popular local bands saw me play at this block party and asked me to sit in with them. And that kind of introduced me to another level of musicians in the community. This was an interesting neighborhood because, in this neighborhood, James Brown had a house there. This was St. Albans, New York, which is a part of Jamaica, Queens, New York. One of my childhood friends is the great bass player Marcus Miller. We went to high school together. John Coltrane lived in this area. It's an incredible neighborhood because even the beginnings of hip hop are also from this area in Queens. Groups like Run DMC, A Tribe Called Quest, Salt and Pepper. It's an interesting neighborhood in that it was everything from jazz to rock to funk to hip hop, and it was all there. It was like music was in the air. It was like the groove was in the water. It was an interesting place.